death itself has to be annihilated in life, or annihilating death in life by completely freeing consciousness of all illusion, man becomes God in the naked truth of his own true existence. He remains infinitely conscious God, irrespective of his keeping or dropping the gross, subtle, and mental bodies, just as man remains man, whether he is dressed or undressed. As long as man remains ignorant of his divine self, he may as well be a stone. A man lives and a stone exists. Both remain equally ignorant of the truth. As Kabir says, while man cannot achieve truth, he is no better than a stone. Man's full consciousness, painstakingly earned through the endless illusory experiences during evolution, is trapped within these very experiences that were so necessary to enable him to gain the consciousness achieved. In man, consciousness is complete. Augmenting of consciousness is no longer needed, but merely the directing of it towards man's real identity. Only in human form is it possible for life to attain its final goal, which is to realize the all-pervading and infinite divinity. Only in the human body can one attain realization and fulfill the purpose of creation. Hence, the supreme importance of attaining the human body. For all practical purposes, attaining the human body is the journey's end, but the sanskaras, impressions amassed in the travail of gaining this consciousness block man's view of his eternal self. All the suffering and struggles man undergoes are to wear out this obstruction, and this involves an interminable process. Man cannot of himself remove the block, but a perfect master can do that for him when his grace is deserved.
All right. Whether you call it coincidence, whether we call it Baba orchestrated, we just spoke about somebody passing over to Baba, and the next chapter that opened was deathless living. Time and again, we have been seeing that it seems that we are not orchestrating anything. It is Baba who is doing so. I remember an instance where even in Pune, somebody had lost her husband, and she was informed that we are having a book reading. They call it book reading. I don't call it book reading, but they said there's a book reading on Meher Baba. Would you like to attend? So she was in two minds. She had lost her husband very recently, maybe a few days back, and she was in no mood to go. But something in her told her that no, you go, it will be something for you. The message would be something for you. And the lady came to our Pune session. I think it was no, it wasn't in Zia. Was it in Zia's home? Okay. Yeah, I thought it was in Ranjana. But anyway, it doesn't matter whose home. Soumya corrects me, it was in Zia's home. And when the person came and we were talking about death, and I think we were reading the book on Listen Humanity and something on death. And there were so many questions that got answered. And she felt that I feel so nice and I feel as if this session was only meant for me. And she stuck on to Baba. So now here once again. Go ahead.
There was a picture of Baba's which was at Zia's son's marriage. So that poster was there, and she felt that Baba was looking constantly at her, and that was what anchored her to Baba also.
Okay. Now the chapter here is deathless living. We are all expected to die. And when I say die, die in the real sense, die in such a way that we live eternally in the truth, in the oneness, in experiencing infinite bliss eternally. That is the real death. What we call death is only the death of the body, the physical body. As we all know, we have got three bodies: the gross, the subtle, and the mental. And these three bodies are complete, whole and complete in the first human form. And therefore, the will to be conscious, which is the original urge, impetus, hooky, whim, lahar, name it whatever, the will to be conscious. Because originally, God was unconscious of his own divinity. So the question came, who am I? So the will to be conscious was accomplished, was completed in the first human form. So that's why for all practical purposes, the first human form should become the final junction of our journey. But unfortunately, what has happened is along the long sojourn or along the long travail, the very strenuous journey that we took from the gaseous state till the human form, in all that process, what has happened, we started accumulating more and more of samskaras or impressions. And those samskaras or impressions got embedded, they got stuck, they got chipkowed on our consciousness, as a result of which, although in the first human form, we are potentially God in a sense, we are unable to experience our Godhood because of this stickiness of all the samskaras, impressions, karmas, whatever you name it, that way. So now let us read what Baba has to say. Baba says life does not end with death. We all know that what we call death is only, in a sense, mathematically, one third of our being, that is only the gross being, is buried, cremated, whatever, given to the vultures or whatever, only one third. The two-third of the so-called I, that means the subtle body and the mental body, continues its journey as disembodied souls in the realm of heaven or hell, enjoying or suffering our prepondering samskaras, and then coming back again in a physical form to utilize and spend the residual samskaras. But the joke of all this is that while we are spending, let us say, 100 units of samskaras, we are sometimes accumulating 125 and going back again. And this to and fro keeps on happening almost ad infinitum. It is not ad infinitum because every soul has to finally reach the junction, which is oneness with God. So Baba says your life does not end with death. Survival after death is as true as death after life. Just as there is death, everybody is going to die. That means one must learn the art of dying. That is the only art which will help us in order to merge one with God if we are fortunate enough to remember Him when we breathe our last. So, in other words, just as death after life is most certain, in the same way, life after death is almost most certain for most of the souls who do not remember God in their dying moments. And that is why the importance of remembrance, importance of speaking out His name, or to remember Him in our hearts. To live in order to die, or to die in order to survive, would be a poor proposition indeed. In other words, people, if you are just living in order to die, That means there is no enthusiasm. That means there is no cheerfulness. That means there is no equanimity in life. That means there is no, you are almost lifeless. So in other words, that is not the way Baba expects us to live. The death that follows life is not lifelessness. The death that follows life is not lifelessness, because there in the other domain, which we call as the astral world, again, it is not lifelessness. There is a lot of activity, there is a lot of life in that domain also. But please remember that it is also in the domain of illusion. It is in the domain of illusion, it is not truth. And that is why when one jnani was asked, what happens after death? Very beautiful reply he gave. He said, what happens? This is his reply. What happens? The dream continues. In other words, like how last time we did, whether it is the dream in our sleep or dream as we are dreaming now in our wakefulness, or the dream of the heaven or hell state, or the dream of the spiritual path, they are all in the domain of illusion. They are all illusion. So here Baba says that the death that follows life is not lifelessness, nor is life after death a deathlessness. In other words, there is activity here, there is activity there, but both are illusory. As is here, so it will be there. Many people talk about the afterlife, about the buildings and the bungalows and the garden and the flowers and the birds and the beautiful sceneries and all that. When somebody asks Baba, they say that it is as much real as is our life over here. Indirectly, what Baba wanted to say is, just as how you feel this is real, but in reality this is an illusion, in the same way, people who have left this world and are enjoying the state of heaven, or are suffering the state of hell, and are able to communicate on this side to tell us what it is like on that side, they are also enjoying all these things in the domain of illusion. That's what is important to understand. Life is a positive manifestation of true existence which negative death cannot extinguish. What is this life that we are talking? This life is nothing but a positive manifestation of the existence. Existence is the real thing. We have done that before also, that existence is a reality, whereas life is an illusion. So this life is a positive manifestation of the true existence. That means of the truth. Which negative death? That means that the death that we call that somebody has died, the negative death cannot extinguish. That means the death cannot extinguish existence. Existence is there in this state. Existence is there when we are dreaming. Existence is there even when we are in sound sleep state. That means there is no, the consciousness is in abeyance. Even there, the existence is there. Existence is there in the hell and heaven state. Existence is there on the spiritual planes. And finally, at the fag end of the journey, we are supposed to experience this existence consciously. We are supposed to experience that and know that I was, that we all are existence personified from the beginless beginning till the endless end. So existence is the truth. To end the ceaseless successions of lives and death, that itself has to be annihilated in life. to end the ceaseless rounds of birth and death. If you want that you do not want to have Punarjanam, reincarnation. Baba had said that a couple of times. In Gujarati, he would say, "Ke bhai, mane to aavu pade chhe. I have to come because it is my responsibility. Mane to aavu pade chhe. But તમે લોકો કાંઈ આવ્યા કરો? Why do you keep coming over and over again? You have the opportunity, you have the scope, you have the wherewithal, you can escape reincarnation. Why don't you take that cue and just pop off and not come back again? Because that is what we are expected to do. So here Baba says to end the ceaseless successions of lives and deaths. Death itself has to be annihilated in life. That means you must live, as Baba says, a living death. A living death means what? You must die to your false self. Everything that is false, your desires, your cravings, your longings, your thoughts that I am this body, your thoughts that I am a man or a woman, your thoughts and feelings that I am an Asian, Indian, I am a Hindu, Muslim, Parsi, all these are false impressions, Baba says, and that has to die. It's very important to understand that our personality, we call it a personality, is what we think about ourselves. I am a man, I am so and so feet tall, I am handsome, I am ugly, I am sick, I am healthy, blah blah blah. Whatever that we give to ourselves, that's our personality, and that has to die. And that has to die while we are living. And if we are able to do that, of course, Baba says subsequently that it is well nigh impossible to do it unless the perfect masters come into your life and he helps you to do it and you are able to obey his orders, then only it is possible. So in other words, living death is the real death. That means you have to die while you are living, die to all that is false. I had given you one example of a gentleman. Excuse me, please.
Cyrus, you change your mic? It's a
No.
little rough today for some reason.
No, I have not changed my throat may be rough. I don't know.
No, throat is all right. Mic is a little rough.
No,
Okay.
Do you want me to try a quad mic? You want
Yeah,
me to try
I think
this?
so.
Let
Yeah.
me try. Just give me a feedback after some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, it's better.
Is better. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So I was giving an example, and I have been giving this of a very beautiful example. Of course, that man had the tayari and had the preparedness to accept his master's word. His name was Nisarga Datta Maharaj. He was somewhere staying at Khetwadi back lane, where he had a pan bidi shop. He was a Maharashtrian person. Not lettered, means I don't think he went to school and all that, but he was considered a jnani, somebody who knows everything. And when he was asked, how is it that you got this knowledge when you have not attended any school, college, anything? How did you get this? A very, very profound reply that he gave, and that applies to each one of us actually. But we should have that preparedness, that courage, and the wisdom to accept Baba's words. So he said that his master told him, whatever his name may be, he was subsequently known as Nisarga Datta Maharaj, that look, you are not this body. You are infinite and you are eternal. Now just imagine when a master tells his disciple that you are infinite. What does it mean? That means you are everywhere, you are in everything. There is nothing besides you, there is nothing beyond you, there is nothing and nobody other than you. That is infinite, unlimited. And he said, you are eternal, which means what? That means you always were, you are, and you ever will remain. There was never a time when you were not there. Right now you are there. And there will never be a time when you will not be there. Now just see the courage and the wisdom of this person. He took his master's word so deeply into his being that he was not experiencing himself as eternal or as infinite, but he took it so seriously that he started thinking in that line, in that manner, that I am infinite and I am eternal. Now just imagine when anybody starts thinking continuously, day and night, I am infinite and I am eternal. It automatically means that I am not bound by this body. There is nobody besides me. So basically he says that when I started, there is a law called the law of as if. Now, yes, last time I think Kajal was asking the same, more or less the same question. As if I am healthy, as if I am wealthy, as if I am happy. Then when you constantly hammer that in your being, entire being, then that as if becomes the reality. That means this gentleman kept on telling himself all day long, every time, or every waking moment of his was, I am infinite and I am eternal. Now just imagine when that gets anchored into each and every cell of our being, then how will your behavior be? You cannot get angry on anybody because you can only get angry on yourself because that other person is not other person. He is an extension of your own self. You can't be jealous of somebody. You can't be greedy of somebody. You can't be lustful of anybody. So where all these negative traits like anger, greed, lust, jealousy, hatred, pride, egoism, etc., it automatically dropped. It automatically dropped because of disuse, because he was not feeding that limited, separative, finite ego of his, and just became a jnani simply by practicing what his master told him. I think it's a very profound thing. Our master keeps telling us the same thing, but how many of us have got the courage to do it? Our master keeps saying, don't worry, be happy. And all the time we are having some project or the other to worry. And when we are not worried, then also we are worried. How is it that I am not worried? So that is the whole issue here. So here Baba says, to annihilate death in life by completely freeing consciousness of all illusions, man becomes God in the naked truth of his own true existence. We are all the time running after searching God. We want to search God. We are seekers. We go here, we go there. Some sadhu has come, some saint has come, some chamatkari baba has come, and we run there asking for some sort of ye mangta hai, wo mangta hai. But little do we understand that we are in the love orbit of the highest of the high, the avatar of the age. There can be absolutely nobody who can be higher than Meher Baba. How fortunate we are. That's number one. Number two, Baba says that you can never find God for the simple reason that you are searching for something or somebody whom you have never lost. Now, how can you find something when you have never lost it? I generally give an example of a stylish lady who has put his goggles, who has put her goggles on the head. We have got this habit of putting, they have this on the head, and then you are searching, where is my spectacles, where is my chashma, where is my goggle? It is here, everything is here, So basically, am I audible? Because I get I'm getting a signal that your speaker is not working. Rakesh, am I audible? Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, oh my God, somebody's mic is on. I think Bhaktavar's mic is on. There's one Bhaktavar. Anyway, so where was I? So Baba says that the time there is no need for you to go in search of God. There is no need for you to be a seeker. First and foremost, you must understand the importance of our being attached, dedicated, whatever you call it, to Baba. Number one. And number two, Baba says that forget about seeking God. Now you must become the sought and not the seeker. You must become the sought means you must make yourself such that God Himself should come seeking after you. And how can you become that? One of the easiest way is to annihilate our false separative I. And one of the ways Baba said, I remember Erax giving an episode that we all are like a reflecting surface. A reflecting surface, maybe something like stainless steel sheet, or maybe a mirror, which is a reflecting surface. And Baba is like the sun, the absolute, unlimited, infinite, eternal sun. Not our sun, because that is just a speck. It is nothing compared to what Baba is. And we are the reflecting surface. Our job should only be to keep our reflecting surface chakachak. That means absolutely shining, so that we are able to reflect Baba's glory through us in a proper light. That means if our aham, ego, is not there, then Baba is able to reflect through us. And as we all know, Baba can work through each and every one of us. If our reflecting surface is having a lot of dust, the dust of aham, I am the doer, I am a great speaker, I am a great actor, I am a great dancer, I am a great this, nobody else can do this better than me in Baba's work, etc., etc. That means there is the dust over there. And in that case, we will not become a very efficient and an effective reflecting surface for Baba. And so therefore, he might go in search of some reflecting surface which will better do his job. So in other words, instead of being a seeker, you should try to become the sought. And the way to become the sought is to let go of all that I am really not. Let me let go of all my so-called desires, so my inadequacies, so my whatever I feel it is wrong, I am I. That has to be annihilated gradually. It's a gradual process. And as we do this more and more, his reflection through us becomes more and more bright, more shining. There's a very nice sentence in English that Baba or God or he does not call the qualified, but he qualifies the call. I personally feel we are all called, and we should surrender to him so that he qualifies us to do his work in whatever situation. It is not necessarily in anything that you do, any love, spontaneous, genuine, selfless love that you express towards anybody. Baba says that is God's love. That is the God's work. In other words, do anything in the thought that you are doing it for Baba, or that Baba is doing it through you. I am not the doer. When we do this ongoingly, my personal feeling is that Baba would enthrone himself in our being, and he will use us more and more for his work. Coming back to reading, he remains infinitely conscious God, irrespective of his keeping or dropping the gross, subtle, and mental bodies. That means if you annihilate death in life, as we all know now we know what is real death. If we annihilate death in life, then he remains, then once he becomes conscious of his godhood, he remains infinitely conscious God, irrespective of his keeping or dropping the gross, subtle, and mental body. Because the very purpose of the body, that is to experience God in this body, has been accomplished. And once having accomplished, the body has no purpose whatsoever. And Baba says that just as a man remains, whether he is dressed or undressed, a man who is dressed is equally a man. A man who is undressed is equally a man. In the same way, a man after God realization retains his gross, subtle, and mental body is also God realized. And if he drops his gross, subtle, and mental bodies, even then he remains God realized. That is what it says. As long as man remains ignorant of his divine self, he may as well be a stone. This is very important. Baba says that the purpose of a human body is only one: to achieve God consciousness in this body. I keep on repeating a very superb sentence from Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, whom we all know, who was a perfect master, who lived in Calcutta. And his beautiful statement is, he is born to no purpose who, having the rare privilege of being born a man, does not realize God in this very life. That means the whole purpose of achieving a human form is of no avail, is lost, is totally lost if you do not achieve God consciousness in this very life. So that is why we should never think about, oh, next time when I come. Why should we all ever think about next time, when Baba has given us a chavi, a key to open the door to bliss? And what is that key? The key is constant, wholehearted remembrance. That should hopefully help us to remember him when we breathe our last. And if we are able to do that, then Baba's promise is that that soul will experience infinite bliss eternally. That means we merge in him and never come back in this earthly life. So as long as man is ignorant of his divine self, he might as well be a stone. A man lives and a stone exists, and both remains equally ignorant of truth. We are both equally ignorant of truth. But fortunately now, intellectually we know what truth is. We have not experienced, we have no experience, only intellectual information we have that this is the way to go about. In other words, chavi is given. Otherwise, it will be like that film song, you know, क्या बोलते हैं? बीन ताले दो बेचारे बिना सहारे, बीन ताले की चाबी ले घूमते मारे मारे whatever that is, you know, we would be like that. Chavi is given, but we have to make the effort to use that key to open the lock of bliss. And for that, the only thing that Baba expects out of us, 3 words: constant, wholehearted remembrance. As constant would also mean as much as possible. If you don't do it constantly, fine, as much as is possible. As Kabir says, while man cannot achieve truth, he is no better than a stone. That means a human body is no better than a stone form if you are not able to achieve the truth in this human body. Man's full consciousness, painstakingly earned through the endless illusory experiences during evolution, endless illusory experiences from the creation to the evolution, starting from the gases, stone, metals, minerals, and then we go to vegetables, then we go to worms and all kinds of reptiles and all that. Then we go to fish and bird and animal and human form. In the human form, the evolution process is complete. No further progress in evolution, only reincarnation. And now that we have come to a stage, fortunately, at least intellectually, we understand what the highest of the high, what the God-man himself is trying to tell us. We understand intellectually, we have to put it into practice. So painstakingly we have come and process, the entire process of evolution is over, but the consciousness now is trapped within these very experiences. The consciousness is trapped, is geared within these very experiences that were so necessary to enable him to gain the consciousness achieved. The consciousness expands and expands and expands as we keep on evolving. But as it is expanding, it is also gathering more and more of samskaras and impressions, which are very, very sticky. Chipak gundi, we call it, chipak, chipak, chipak. It doesn't want to leave us. It is very chipku, as we call it. When somebody keeps harassing us, keeps on talking and doesn't want to say, okay, tata, bye, bye. Are kya chipku hai yaar? That kind of thing. So our samskaras are all chipku, you see, but they were necessary. They were necessary at the time of evolution. Now they are unnecessary and not helping us to release. So we have to just break open. It is something like we take a canoe or a small boat to go from one bank of the river to the other bank. The canoe was very important, very essential, without which we cannot go. But now the canoe says, मैंने आपको मदद किया, I helped you, so now you take me along. So what you do? You carry the canoe on your head all the time, going from village to village, town to town, cities to cities, country to country. What an inconvenience, what a load, what a harassment. So in the same way, the mind, which was responsible to give us full consciousness, is now responsible for us to experience all kinds of nonsensical states in our body. The mind has to go, the mind has to be annihilated, it has to be kicked out by starvation, by not feeding it more and more of illusory experiences. Coming back to our reading, in man, consciousness is complete. Baba says, in man, no. That means the will to be conscious, which started at creation, was actually completed in the first human form. Augmenting of consciousness is no longer needed, but merely the directing of it towards man's real identity. Man's real identity is none other than God. So now the focus the compass has to be changed, the direction has to be changed, rather than running after the things of the world, rather than being attracted by the creation. We have to now needle, sort of deviate the needle or put the needle to the creator and not to the creation. All this time we were focused on the creation. Now we have to focus on the creator. Only in human form is it possible for life to attain its final goal. That we know only in the human form, only on earth it is possible, which is to realize the all-pervading and infinite divinity. Basically, to realize the I am God state. Only in the human form can one attain realization and fulfill the purpose of creation. Hence, the supreme importance of attaining the human body. Imagine God is saying that we are so blessed that we have got a human body, which is the supreme importance of the end of the journey. Now we have to make use of all the wherewithal, all the knowledge that we have gained in all these forums. and practice it in a manner that we are able to liberate ourselves and emancipate ourselves and free ourselves from the bondage of illusion. For all practical purposes, attaining the human body is the journey's end. But the samskaras or the impressions amassed in the travail means the laborious effort and the journey in the travail of gaining this consciousness blocks man's view of his eternal self. In other words, for all practical purposes, human body is gained and the journey's end has come. But in the travail, in the journey, we have amassed all this kachra and the garbage and all the suffering and the struggles man undergoes now are to wear out this obstruction, and this involves an interminable process. In other words, now after the human body, the reincarnation process is only aimed at removing or weeding out who we are not. In our arti, we say, Neti, Neti, Veda Pukare, not this, not that. I am not this, I am not that. That kind of thing. Man cannot of himself remove the block. Baba had given one example, like like there's a fire and there's a pot of whatever water boiling and there's a cover on it and there's a big stone put on this. So whatever effort that you may make, and that is why Baba is not giving so much of importance to any of the other parts like meditation, like concentration, like bhakti yoga, like karma yoga, like raja yoga. Why does he not give so much of importance? Because they are good, they are working. It is not that they are not working, but they will not take you finally to the goal. In order to go to the final goal, it is like a water boiling under the pot. The boiling is there, you but plop, 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 all that, but it will not be able to throw away the dhakkan, the lid, because there's a heavy stone on it. And that heavy stone is the stone of our samskaras. And only somebody from outside who is a perfect master, which Baba means a perfect master, when he lifts that stone, then automatically you are free. And therefore Baba says, only you cannot by himself remove the block, but a perfect master can do that for him when his grace is deserved. So all that we require is Baba's grace. And Baba had once said that his grace is ever flowing. It is not that his grace is stopped. It is because of our karmas, because we have blocked his grace from penetrating. The example that Baba had given once was that my grace is like a sun, which is shining on everyone, everywhere. It doesn't discriminate between a sinner and a saint, or a virtuous person or a vicious person. It is shining on everyone. But you are carrying an umbrella, and the umbrella is preventing you from getting the sun's rays. And then Baba goes, such a minuscule, such a small thing like an umbrella can prevent the sun's rays from falling on you. In the same way, your ego, all the wrong that I am this, I am that, is preventing my grace to penetrate or to flow into you. The moment we resigned completely to his will, the moment we accept him as our master, genuinely accept him as our master, and constantly pray for his grace. In my understanding, his grace is ever flowing, but we inhibit or prohibit his grace from coming. So I think that's about we. Okay, now can you ask me? Okay, you can ask the question. I'm removing this one. No, let her. Dilshad, you want something? You wanted to ask something, yeah. Eternal and infinite. Arey Baba, eternal has to do with time, and infinity has to do with the infinity, unlimited. In a sense, space. But I can't even call it space. because space is nothing but a shadow of God. You see, but when we talk about God as infinite, that means unending, from the beginningless beginning to the endless end. And when we talk about eternal, we are talking about time. But actually, time, as we understand, is a construct of the mind. We understand time in terms of past, present, and future. But actually, Baba says that there is no such thing as time. Everything is happening in the eternal now. The present moment is all that is, and it encompasses all of the illusory past and all of the illusory future that is going to be. What is important is the present eternal now. Any more questions? You want to see something today? I thought, no, I thought you were preparing. Oh, okay. Anyway, okay, put your digital hand up, not your physical hand. Not the physical hand. Aban, put your digital hand.
No.
Not the physical hand.
Aban, bolo. Unmute.
Unmute whom? Who wants to ask? Nobody's put their hand up.
Aban.
Abha? Okay, I don't see it on my screen. One second.
Aban, unmute your mic. Your mouth is unmuted, but your mic is not.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Very well.
Acha. If just now somebody asked about eternal and infinite, so
Yes.
it is Anant, no? Eternal is Anant,
Correct.
which has no beginning and no end.
Correct.
Correct. Acha. And which book are you reading just now?
Infinite is Anand.
No. Okay, go ahead. Anyway, as long as who's that? Dilshad has understood well and good. Thank you. Thank you, Aban.
No, I am asking you, which book are you reading now?
Oh,
Life.
we are reading Life at its best. And
Life
we are juggling between books because we don't have an agenda to complete any book and all that. So whatever I find it something, interesting,
Okay.
I just choose that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? Any more?
Dilshad has a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Who has a question?
Dilshad.
I could not unmute earlier, that is why. I'm sorry, I understood eternal as, ongoing and never, no beginning, no end. What would you say then is the difference between eternal and infinite? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
See, I call it, my understanding of infinite means unlimited. It is infinite. Finite means which is minuscule, which is small. And infinite is something which is infinite, which means it doesn't have any, like Baba explains infinity of God with the ocean. And then Baba says, but ocean has an ocean bed, it has a surface and it has a shore. But when we talk about God as infinite, then it is like a shoreless ocean, which has no beginning and no end. Something like that.
And eternal is?
The eternal, I would connote eternality with time. That means again the same thing, beginningless beginning. There never was a time when God was not there, and there never will be a time when God will never be there. And now, of course, God is always there. Pia had something to ask. I am putting infinity as a physicality. It's not physical basically, and eternality with connected with time.
Thank you.
That way, I would put it that.
Thank you.
Somebody else
Pia,
also
Pia.
asked. Nothing to. Okay, Pia, go ahead. Pia. Itna
Hello.
Pia.
Jai Baba, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay. Firstly, I want to thank you for constantly repeating that this world is an illusion because I only remember it during these sessions. Otherwise, I don't seem to remember it at all.
No, you have to thank me because I also remember now. Go ahead.
Okay, so but this is not related to this session. It's the previous sessions. Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. If I were to take Baba's name while breathing my last, would I undergo the stages of involution before attaining mukti? mukti? Or are these stages of involution meant only for those who are to attain God realization?
Yes,
That is
my
infinite
understanding
knowledge.
is that because Baba clarified later on,
Oh.
saying that mukti or moksha, which is najat mukti or ordinary mukti, is achieved after death, sometimes after 3 or 5 days after death, and that means that that particular soul will experience infinite bliss eternally. And then Baba went on to say that it is not perfection or it is not a state of God realization, because God realization is to be had while in the body, in the physical body, and the experience of the God realized mukta. We also call him mukta in a sense because he's God, he's mukt in other words, but his experience is of infinite knowledge, infinite power, and infinite bliss. Whereas in mukti, which we call as najat or ordinary mukti, there is the experience of only infinite bliss, which is, I suppose, good enough for all of us. And yes, and coming back to your question, my understanding is you don't need to go through the involutionary process. No, I don't think you need to go. But as
So,
I said, I am equally ignorant as all of you are, or equally knowledgeable as all of you are, because I cannot say for certain what it should be. This is just my surmise based on Baba's reading, that somebody who achieves mukti may not be passing through the involutionary process
so it's
because it
not.
happens
It's not for everybody.
after death.
So it's not for everybody.
Sorry?
So the stages of involution and the planes of involution is not for everybody.
No.
Not everybody is
My
destined for it.
understanding is that there are my understanding, again I'm saying, I keep repeating that most souls achieve moksha, some souls achieve God realization. Out of those souls who receive God realization, most souls leave their body immediately thereafter, maybe after a few hours or say after a few days. Some souls who retain their body are go along as mazhubs, Brahmi boots as we call it, or some souls, same way, God realized, and they go about in the same body as saliks, and only the five amongst all those who have realized God at that particular period of time, because Baba says that at any given point in time, there are 56 God realized souls, of which five are the perfect masters, and remaining 51 are divided between the two sectors called mazhubs and saliks. So they are also called perfect ones and not perfect master.
And so I just want to know another thing. So those who, as I understand from your talk, that those who are on the planes of involution, when they pass over, like Muhammad Damas, they do not experience this states of hell and heaven, right?
They never experience hell, but
Or heaven.
they do experience their respective corresponding heaven
Oh, so they have a loka that they go to.
on which plane they may be, and then they have to come back in a human form, maintaining that consciousness of that plane, which will unfold itself gradually. It's not that at birth that particular soul will know, oh, I'm a Vali or I'm a fourth plane, Mahayogi or something like that. No, the plane will unfold itself gradually. But that soul has to come back on earth in order to realize God. My understanding is that those who have entered the involutionary journey, their destiny is God realization, whereas most souls achieve mukti. And when Baba was once asked as to who will achieve what, then Baba uh, in a very, what should I say, not jocular way, but in a very passing way, without giving it a serious thought. He said that this all had been predestined or preordained at the time of creation. So it's all preordained whether you will achieve God realization or mukti. If you are destined to achieve God realization, then you will be a mazhub or a salik or a perfect master. Is all preordained at the time of creation. Got it?
No, I just wanted to know did Baba specify where do they go after they drop their body? Did he mention?
They never go into the astral world, because astral world is a go between the subtle and the gross. I had explained that earlier.
Yes, yes, I
Only
remember.
those souls who have not entered the spiritual path, they go into the astral world. And those who are higher, Baba uses the word fourth and higher, they have their own experience of heaven. They never experience hell. And where do they go? I'm sure, see, basically again, Baba says that they are not locales. They are not places. So again, those souls experience a state of heaven connected with that plane of consciousness through their mental and subtle body. As simple as that. Am I making sense?
Yes, yes. And they are expending their sanskars when they take birth, right?
When they take birth, yes.
Even though they are in the planes of
Yes.
involution,
Yes,
they
yes.
are expending their
Yes,
sanskars,
yes.
right? Okay. Okay.
Because the sanskaras are
So
still
all,
there, that's where the body.
even the Wali is a fifth plane person, very high up, mental world, mental sphere, where he can read thoughts, create thoughts, control thoughts, manipulate thoughts. Even that person has to come back. But my understanding is, if a peer is the sixth plane person, when he drops his body, Baba says in God Speaks that a person who is on the sixth plane experiences God realization at the time of realization, and at the time of dropping his body, and therefore obviously a peer never comes back to creation consciousness. Got it? But up to the Wali state, obviously he comes. Again, I repeat, this is my understanding of Baba's God Speak. Yeah, I know it is, but I always want to be a little safe, so that Baba should not tell me, Baba, why did you say something which you don't know? Yeah, correct. Rakesh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody has anything to ask again, please? I think we are done with 6 o'clock, but we can always go on for a couple of minutes more if you have some genuine questions to ask. Nothing, right? So I think then we call it a day. Okay? Jai Baba, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you,
Baba.
Cyrus, sir. Thank you, Soumya, ma'am.